Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
This is for Monday. No red folders on Monday. And I'm not seeing any red folders on Tuesday and possibly not even Wednesday. A couple orange folders, but on Wednesday, keep in mind we have a crude oil inventory report. That usually will move some markets, especially the Canadian market and anything oil related. And so we have that. And let's see, we need to go to the charts. So if I stop sharing this and share screen, get my charts up. Come on, there we go. And now you should see my charts.
Yeah,
we did have a looking at, let's see, let me back up a little bit here. Let's take a look at our where to go. Not that one, this one. Here we go. We're looking at our strength charts. We're seeing that the US dollar is stronger on the
Al, sorry, Al, we're not seeing
Oh, that's it again. No, I thought I used to.
You gotta remember to shut it down and reopen it now.
Okay, let me see if I can try something. If I put it on the desktop and stop sharing. I thought I could just switch back and forth between the two. I think I can. I just don't have it set up that way.
Yeah.
Share screen. Okay, I'm looking for, what was it looking for? Oh, I was looking for this one right here. Okay, we're looking for our strength meter. We're seeing that earlier today, the Swiss and the Japanese yen were neck and neck. I can see that the Swiss is starting to pull away with the strength to the yen. And right now, the euro and the New Zealand is looks like the euro is stronger to New Zealand on all four charts. So we're going to be looking at that for if we don't have any alerts, we'll be looking at the euro trading against the Aussie CAD or the New Zealand. Right now, the Swiss and yen are in the middle, which is the chart I was looking at earlier. The Swiss is starting to gain some strength to the yen, a little bit, not much. So that's what we're looking. So looking at right now, the dollar is kind of not overly strong. So we're going to be cautious. We're going to be cautious with almost every trade today because Monday mornings, oftentimes the big guys are getting their positions for the week and the charts can kind of get to be all over the place. And performance on Monday and Fridays are usually my least profitable days and days that I tend to have more losses than any other day of the week. So I'll just kind of keep that in mind. If I go to, I guess, to trade my screen again, stop sharing.
Al, we've got Christine in the room.
Okay, all right. Let me go and bring her over here real quick. Find her here. There's Christine. Bring her over and see if anybody else is coming over right now. That should be it for now.
Yeah, that's it.
And there's my chat screen. I can close that and screen share. I wonder why. I thought I was able to just switch back and forth, but apparently that's not working today.
On your laptop, you can't. On your laptop, you have to close it down and restart your new page.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Okay, so anyway, right now we did have an alert earlier on the Swiss yen, and I did pull that up. But when I drew out the Fibonacci's and everything else, I'm seeing that's basically it's in a wedge, it's in a triangle right now. So it did come, it had a nice move up. It came back down. This blue area right now is the 23% upper level of this of the upward move on a higher time frame. So the two blue zones are basically my 25% zones. My yellow lines are indicating the 38 to 50 and the 61% on those time frames. But right now, it's really not giving me anything other than building a wedge, building a base in between here. And I'm not ready to take that trade yet. So we're just going to have to keep pressing on until we find something that looks a little bit better. I'm not seeing any alerts here. I'm not seeing any alerts here. Now, we were saying that the euro was strong to the New Zealand. So let's pull up a euro New Zealand chart. And that's right here. So we have, I'm going to start with a 1 hour chart to see what kind of directions we have with our Fibonacci's. We can see we're in a uptrend. We have more green than red. And from this move from here to here, I'm drawing my lower 25% zone, my upper 25% zone. And so right now and you can see it's right at a red supply zone. So we're not in any place to take a trade on this yet. We did see a nice rally, a base, a rally. And now I'm going to be looking for a pullback back to I want to see it break the 28, 26%, this little blue zone. I want to see it come back down, break and close, come back and retest it, and then start looking for it to start making its way down off of the 61, the 50, 38, and maybe come back down to retest this other zone. So I'm going to mark some yellow lines in here. There's one that's where the 68, 61% retracement of this up move is. Actually, it's actually reversed, so that'd be the 38%. Here's a 50. These are the three zones that really, it doesn't really matter what the numbers are. It's just the reciprocal of 38. You really should be up here. If I draw this Fibonacci line in the opposite direction, the 38 would be up here, and then 50 is always going to be in the middle, and the 61. But basically, we're looking for this thing to come down, break through the blue zone, come back, retest it, and then start giving us some targets down all the way down to, it gets down to the bottom here. That would be somewhat of a contra-trend trade. It'd be a pullback. But that's sort of what we're looking at in this particular point in time. Right now, there's no trade. And let's see here. Check my participants here. Here's some background noise. I think that may be coming from Christine. Let me go and mute that, see if it goes away.
Possibly, yeah.
Okay, so let's see if there's anything else that may show up. So this is one we're going to be keeping an eye on, and we'll see what happens with that as the day progresses. So I'm going to move this thing over here.
Al, quick question for you. Did you draw the fib on the H1 or the daily?
I think I drew this one on the H1. I drew this fib on the H1. I was looking at the H1. So, and I was actually kind of looking in between this move and this move. It's kind of like this, where it started a couple of days ago, came back down, but this is the overnight move here. Nice big move up, retested it. Actually, here's our little W. This thing could break to the upside and may not ever come out of this little zone, or may come back down, pull up just to shoot back up again. But right now, it's sort of range bound between this red zone and this green zone. And that's pretty much why I have my fib drawn in that direction. I mean, I could have taken it from this way just as easily. I could have taken it from over here. And so here's a nice move down, pull back to the, we tested the 25% area. Actually, if I'm looking at this on the down move, nice strong move down, pulled back to the 61%. So this was a 61% pullback of this move. So it came back down, pulled back 61%, made a new low, tested the 50, 61% range right down here. And then it shot back up and took this point out. So right now it's just ranging in between here. Pretty strong moves, but they're pretty much a whole day to make that move. All these little dotted lines are the day breaks. So this was Thursday, this was Friday's move, and this is Sunday, Monday move right now that we're looking at right now. So if you want to draw from here to here, it's just as that's perfectly fine. Or you could draw from here to here and looking for the pullbacks. So what I'll do, I'm going to draw this. I'm going to move this up to We still have the 25, we still want to make our 25% off of this range. It hasn't quite topped it out. So this is a really kind of a strong pullback. So I'm just going to move this down to here. If I can get there. And move this thing down to the, see, I gotta get this back down here. So here's my lower 25%, this blue area. So I just group this down here a little, just a little tighter. Here's my upper 25% to this line. This is 76. We'll make this zone over here. And so we have time to just play around with this a little bit as we show you how we're trying to set these trades up. We're basically looking for a picture. And I'm going to see, find a range where it's going sideways. I'm going to find where we have a nice big move. I want to find out where the upper 25% of the range is, the lower 25%, and I want to try and find out where these middle. This is where everything pretty much gravitates back to the 61, the 50, and the 38. So we're going to mark these zones. These are going to be the targets. When this thing comes back down, these are going to be my target zones to the downside. So where we have our target set, I want to see the moving average is moving in the correct direction. Now I'm on a 1 hour chart, so that's where I like to kind of start looking at my Fibonacci range off the 1 hour or 15-minute, preferably either one seems to work pretty well. A lot of times the one is the same as the other. But right now I'm looking at this thing coming up, it's retesting the high. So we don't want to be taking the long out here, even though it could break out to the top. I'm looking at it more that right now it still hasn't come up to where the zero line was, where this top Fibonacci line is. So right now it's kind of stuck in this upper 25%. But you can see when it came out of the lower, when we drew it and came out of the lower 25%, came out, pulled back in, then it's when it started trending, and we start looking at these little zones in here for our targets. As our moving averages are all in the correct direction, we have a green, yellow, here's the arrow moving average, and here's the 62, and then down below here someplace should be the, oh yeah, you can just barely see it here. Here's the 200 right here. That's the 200 moving average. So they're all in the right direction. So we want to be trading in that with that strength, but right now we're at the top of this. As we go to a lower time frame, you'll see it starting to curl over. And once you see this 5 crossing over the 13, crossing through and closing below the 76, that's telling me that we may be to the end of the move, and we're looking for a pullback, not to close out above this. So I'd like to see it probably come back in, give us a nice little wedge to the upside, and then start looking to try and catch these moves to the downside. You can see where made a high. I need to see it pull back down. 5 crossing over, that means it's starting to show some weakness. Have a pullback, not break this, and give me a little upper trend line right up here. We're looking at that, and then we're also looking for a break of a lower trend line. Here's a low, higher low. If we get a break, this trend line right here should be in play. We have a point here. Just try and connect the dots. Here's our wedge. You can see the wedge is right at where these moving averages, they have 2 moving averages right in here. So I can just expand this out a little bit. So here's the first point. So we're going to try and just connect the dots. Here's a, you can see we're sort of higher high, higher high, higher low, higher high, nice big move up, higher low. Move up, higher high. Now I'm going to be looking to see a break this little pivot here. I want to see it close below that, see it close below these moving averages. I'd like to see it close below the blue zone, maybe retagging this moving average here, come back up and retest the trend line. And then we might have a shot at starting to get some. I'm going to still see it close again before I start jumping into trades. But we'll start seeing if it can pull back, because from here, we're going to start drawing some Fibonacci's to the downside, come back up. We're looking for a strong move down, come back, a little retrace, and then in that area, we're going to be looking to head on down to this direction right here. And this would be the target. So it's not ready yet, but this is what we're looking for. So we're looking for a little bit of a pattern to come down, retest, come back up, retest the trend line, Here's our anchor. Here's our first hit. Maybe give us the third hit on the trend line. And then we can start seeing where we have a nice strong move down. And we'll start drawing the Fibonacci from here to wherever it stops. Get the close. Come back up. Look for a retrace to the 30. Usually anywhere between 23 and 50 was for the first move. So I'd be looking for something of this nature. We're just prepping our plan here. We're just planning our trade. And if it comes back up into this area, actually even the 23 on the first move, I can do 23 to 50. So it comes back down, closes, comes back up, retest. But I want to see a relatively strong move out of here. I don't want to just see a little lazy trend down. I want to see a strong move down. I want to see a strong move down, close, come back up, retest it. And then we'd be looking for our target to be down here, coming in around the 62. And with that, you can see we'll be able, if we can get, this would be our ultimate target. If we get in here, that could be as much as a 33, 50, 30 pip move. Again, we're generally usually going for 5 or 7 pips, depending on how the price looks. Anyway, we'll look and see what we can get with that. And we may even get an arrow. I like to see when I get an arrow alert with that type of formation. So the arrow, let's look for the pullback and then go. So that's what we're looking for on this particular trade. Do you see any questions?
Nope, nothing.
Okay, good. All right, thank you. And let's see, we have Swiss yen. Let me take a look and see where our, let me see, right now, we're not, let's check our charts and see. I wish I could be able to do that. That's unfortunate. Here's my RCS tool.
Excuse me for a moment, Al. Ryan,
Yes.
if you have any questions, can you please put them in the question and answer? All of you, when you're asking questions, put them in the Q&A, please. They're easier to get to because they can get lost in the chat.
Yeah, and I can't even see the chat without, if I put the chat box or the question answer box on my screen, all you guys see is a big old square. So I'm trying not to do, that's why I got Eva and Christine there to help me out with that. Let's see, right now we're looking at the, see how strong.
Sorry, can I interrupt you one more time?
Sure.
Just quickly, if you could look at the pound Swiss on the 1 minute. There was a question earlier whether or not it's a valid bag. I replied that if it was, apparently it's right on top of a zone. Can we just have a look at it? I just
Pound Swiss on the 1 minute.
Yeah. So if it's right on his
Swiss
zone.
1 minute. This one is it's on 1 minute. It's right up in the zone.
Oh, but it's
seems like we have a down arrow right here. Range, we only have 7 pips. I need more than 7 pips to take any trade. You're just looking, you're basically getting your spread out. Let's see what the spread is on this. The pound Swiss right now. The spread, it's 1.7. So basically you'd be losing almost 3 pips just to get in and out of the trade. Your target's only where the arrow was. You only have 6, we'll call it 7 pips. If you get enough half your profits just in the spread, and you're looking at, that would mean you'd have to be right on the money in order to get the trade. That's just not enough room. I would not even be looking. I would take trades on the 1 minute if as a fine tuning, knowing that I wanted to take it. I want to get the alerts off of like a 5 minute or 15. And then I'll try maybe tweak it on a 1 minute to get in if I have the room to the zone. In this case, I don't think we would have that. Well, I know we wouldn't have it with this. If you go to a 5 minute, you might possibly have some room if we can get an alert with a bounce off of this zone. So you get the alert here to this one. Now you might have a shot at it, but now we also know we have a 1 minute little mini zone in here someplace, which is probably about where this where this stopped right here. It got rejected. So there's some buyers came in right around in this area. So I'd be real cautious In fact, in this particular case, I'd probably go ahead and draw a little rectangle right at the bottom of these wicks into this zone, marking where that 1 minute zone was. And I would be willing to speculate that if I go to a 1 minute chart, right there is where that zone is. So it'd have to get through this little zone right here before we get down to your target. If it could take out some of these and then come on down, that might be okay. But I'd be looking, I don't usually look and anything on a 1 minute chart. It's strictly, I usually use that only for an entry, primarily just to try and fine tune that and get that real Hawkeye entry, you could call it, a real eagle eye entry, just trying to get as tight as you can so you can get as tight of a stop as you can. Looking at this, we have 3 red, 1 green. That's on the 5 minute. Let's go to 15 minute. See what it is. Right now it's showing an uptrend in the 15. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 green, 2 red, but it's really just going sideways. If I pull my moving averages up on a, let's pull moving averages up on a 15-minute chart. Look at my template. Save it. Whoops, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to save that. Let's try this again. Template, load. Get my moving averages up in here. You can see it is all the moving averages are in a downtrend, which is a good thing if you want to try and take it short. But we're going to have to get through some of these zones here. This is the primary one right now. This is on a 15-minute zone. Here is, we had an arrow, the arrow right here. Here's the zone. This is only 11 pips. Again, that's still not enough to take the trade. I like to have, I'll work with 13 and a half if it's, but my target is 15 or more pips to the green zone before I would take it. Looking at this pair, the British Swiss. Let me see where that is on the scheme of things. The British is not overly strong to the Swiss is stronger to the British pound. You can't see it because I didn't switch my chart, but that's what it would be. The Swiss is a little bit stronger, so that would be in the right direction. But again, you don't have the room here. So I pass on that. And if you were looking at drawing a Fibonacci, you probably want to be looking at this little range right here. And you're probably going to be right in the lower 25%, I'm going to guess. We're already past the...
Actually, Al,
yes.
I've got a weird question for the attendees. I got a couple of things. Sorry to interrupt you. I got a couple of
Okay,
things.
yeah, no, let's go. Let's address those. Go ahead.
Okay, so let me just ask them something. We have somebody in the room who only really speaks French, and they have some questions. Is there anybody in the attendees right now that's fluent in French that we can drag over to the panelists just to address questions from this attendee? If you could let me know, that would be awesome.
If Matt shows up, I know Matt can speak French, so if Matt shows up.
Matt's not here, so that's more than help.
Okay.
And CB is also in the room. CB, I'm not sure if you want to come over, but you're coming anyway, if I know Al.
Okay. let me go and get CB, and maybe CB can speak French. CB, here we go. CB promotion. Here we go. Got CB in there, and hopefully maybe Matt will show up and can help us out with the language barrier here.
Okay, Kevin.
Bonjour.
Kevin. Bonjour. He's good at French. He says Kevin Fomo. Oh,
Kevin.
and Andre. Okay, so we got a couple of French speakers, which is amazing.
Kevin Fomo. Okay, let me pull Kevin over here. All right, Kevin, you're going to join the panelists today. Who was the other one?
And the other one is Andre.
Andre.
Desriveau. Desriv.
Oh, it looks French.
Very French, yes. Orion, if you could please just type your question in the Q&A in French. No, you're not unlucky. You're lucky.
That's what we're all here to help each other out. That's good.
Just put your question in French, and one of these two gentlemen will be able to translate for us. How's that?
Thank you for your help. You're it's always nice having people that are willing to help and share, help everybody out here. So, and it's nice to know that we have some people from Europe over here joining us in our room this morning. That's always makes me feel happy to. I spent a lot of time in Europe over the years, and I do enjoy the European atmosphere and culture. So,
All right, so
okay, so
we can.
do we need to turn some mics on here?
I'm sorry.
Do I need to turn any mics on?
Right. Yeah. You might as well.
They have the ability to do that if they want to talk.
Oh, that's true too.
Everybody can unmute themselves if they want to.
Okay, good.
I've got some questions for you all. If you can get that big gray box off your screen though, because
there we go.
All right. When you do that. Okay, so I've got what have I got? I've got Charmaine said there was an H4 bag alert on the same pair that you were just looking at. Would that be valid, even though it's an uptrend? That's the pound Swiss she's talking about. So I guess that's
pound Swiss. I'll put it on H4 to see what we got here. Yeah, it's probably this one might be valid. Let me see here. Bounce arrow. It had a little bit of a pullback before the arrow. Let me see if I draw this to a.
Can you zoom out a while so we can see the trend, so everyone can see the trend of what it is?
Yeah, this is the H4 trend. This is on a 4-hour chart on the pound Swiss. It came up. We had a nice move up, and right now it's right in the middle of these 38, 50, 61 zone. This it's right in the middle of this. It did come up. It did break. It did close below the 23.
Okay, Alex, counter trend. This isn't an uptrend and the arrow's down.
Okay, let's see here. Let's go to scroll this out. Yep, definitely in an uptrend. And so it's an uptrend with a down arrow, but this is more of a, when you get into the 4-hour chart, you're looking more of a swing trade. But we'll draw it out and see what we're looking at here. Here's our uptrend. Here's our, I'm going to identify the upper and lower 25% zones. So again, this is on a higher time frame, so the zones are going to be a lot bigger. So you have to keep that in mind when you look for stops and things like that. You insert. We're going to be using today a little bit of a with Swiss yen. 15-minute Swiss yen just came up. Let me draw the other zone here, and we'll take a look at the 15-minute and see where it's at. Maybe a little bit finer tuned entry for the overall move here. So there's our upper and lower 25%. So everything's going sideways in between. Let's go to the 15-minute. Expand this out. These are my moving averages. Here's my 38, my 50, my 61. We'll mark those out. 38. Here's the 50. It's right at the 50, and here's the 61. So it did. Where's my blue? It did come out of the upper blue. Right now, it's pretty much in the middle of this 38 and 61 of that higher 4-hour time frame move, Fibonacci move. Here's a high, here's a low, here's a new range basically we're looking at. On the 15-minute, here's a bounce, arrow, go. Here's the go part right here. I'll mark that with a different color. Here's where the go was right here at near the 50% line. So I like this move down, pulled back. I'll draw another Fibonacci from, I'm gonna use it from here to here. We pulled back into the 23.50%. Actually, it came right up to the 50%. All of our moving averages are in the right direction. Green came up to the yellow. It's starting to turn around. It's not going to cross. Come down to a 5-minute chart. Take a look and see if the moving averages are still in the correct direction. 200, 62, arrow, 7.5. We get a little bit of a cross in here. Just barely crossed over after it bounced off the 50. And we're kind of right in from this down move right at the, now we're looking for this thing to, this would be the target. So if I come down here and target, see what that's lots of room to the target if this continues down. The British to the Swiss, let me check that and see what how strong that is. The British and Swiss are pretty much, Swiss is stronger, but not by a lot. It's kind of this is going to be kind of an iffy trade. If you were to take this thing short, I like it to the short side. The Swiss is a little bit stronger to the British pound. We have a zone, it formed a little zone right up here, bounced. There is room to the green zone, even to the green. We have 18 pips. I'd like to see a little bit more of a commitment to the downside than we're getting right now. Now this is where I would get down into the 1 minute chart to see if I can get that fine entry as this thing crosses over. Right now, the moving averages are all consolidating right in here. So there really is not, it's not a confirmed, we had a nice move down here. You can see the moving averages are all in the correct direction. Strong move down, came back up, retested this area, but now it's just going sideways. We have a little bit of an anchor. Here's a hit. On the trend line, looking at this off a 1 minute chart, we're looking, here's our trend, and it broke back to the upside off of that. We have a trend from here. Here's the low. Came back down, made a low. This is going sideways, ejected this area from this one. So here's where the rejection was, right in this area. Now, if it can come back down and break through here, now we have some room to the downside. If I can get a break and a retest, there again, that's only 8 pips. Again, it's not a lot. It's not enough to really hang your hat on. You do have this little zone right here. It's a 1 minute zone, but they can be pretty powerful at times. So I'm not going to take this trade. I don't, it's still consolidating. We have a low, higher low, higher low, higher low. It is still trending to the upside, but you also have this strong zone right here as a little bit of a rejection. And from, let's go to a 5 minute chart here. Where's my Fibonacci? Here's my Fibonacci. Here's the upper 25%, and from this down move. So we're looking at 2 different Fibonacci's. We're looking at the major up move, which is where we have the blue zones. And now we're looking at how we're going to play that move up. We're trying to see how we're going to play that to the downside as it's going back and forth inside that range. And I'm not really, I'd like to see it break through. It is trying to break. We had the nice move down, came back up, we tested 50% of this move. It is trying to break through here. Our moving averages are in the correct direction on the 5 minute. Excuse me. We do have room to the green zone, 15 pips. We may be able to take this possibly. I wouldn't mind seeing another arrow develop on here. I like the fact that it pulled back into this 50%. Here's where the pullback was. There's a little stronger pullback than I would have normally liked to have seen. Normally would be taking a look at the 23 to the, if it's going to start trending real strong to the downside, it would just pretty much had a nice move down and would have stopped in this area and continued. And that'd be like a drop, a base, and then a strong drop again. The fact it went up a little bit higher, it's still okay. It's still within the range. It came all the way up to the 50%. And now it's starting to break, but I want to see now, I want to see a little bit more of a commitment to the downside. If it can break through this little, this is a strong move down. You can see where this, you have two candles, a red candle all the way down, closed, and it came right back up again. So there were some buyers that came in right around in this area. So it's going to have to try and break through this in order for it to go lower. And it's just, I'm just not convinced it's going to do that right yet. I think this is one we were talking about with a 4-hour chart. I think in time, I think it could still head on down as a short with that 4-hour down arrow, which was this one right in here. But it's not going to be, you may be waiting all day to be able to get out of that trade. That would be it's a reasonable swing trade. But you can see here's the up move, came back down. It's all basing right here in the middle. If it breaks through here, it could head on down, get on down here. But it could be sitting in this area for a good part of the morning still, when you're looking at a 4-hour chart.
There's also been a request for you to look at the 15-minute S&P. You could just.
Yeah, it's a little early. It's a little early for the S&P. Let's see, what time is it? It's 8 o'clock. It's a little early for the S&P. And start seeing moves on that probably more in the around the 9 o'clock time frame, 9 to 9:30. It's still a little bit early, but let's see. 15-minute. We have lots of green, a little bit of red. So it is in a uptrend overall. Put my Fibonacci's on here. Load. Or no, my moving averages. I mean, excuse me. See where the moving averages are, and we are seeing on the 15-minute they are in the correct direction. It looks like we have a green, yellow. The arrow and the 62 are just crossing. The arrow is just now crossing the 62, so it does have some downward pressure. You've got this 200 moving average right here, and it's going to have to get through that. So there's no real trade there yet. I could see where this thing could have a possible down day to day, but more than likely it's going to be range bound to at least a part of the day to day. We have the moving averages in the right direction, but we have nothing's crossed over the 200. So I'm going to be guessing this thing's going to be somewhat range bound somewhere between somewhere in between, well, pretty much where it is. Let's look at 15-minute chart. 15, so it looks like an hourly. Yeah, if you were to draw a Fibonacci on this one, on the S&P right now, here's the down move I'm looking at. Here's the retracement of it. I would be drawing my Fibonacci reference to this 1-hour chart. I'd be taking it probably from, here's a high, here's a little bit lower high. This is where it left the zone. So I'm going to take it from there to here. Mark out my 25% ranges. Here's my upper 25% right in here. Here's my lower 25% right in here. And right now it's range bound. Here's the 61, here's the 78. So we want to see it get up into this area, break, close, come back up, retest it, and then come back down again. Right now it hasn't quite gotten up into the 76 area, but it has broken the 61 and is starting to consolidate. So these are the key factors here. We have this key 61, the 50, 38, and we have our two 25% zones. So from that, now we can take this and we move this over to where the high is. I can just leave my bottom right the same. And I'm looking to see, trying to get some moves, some range to the downside. Now, it never did break through this 25%. So if it can, we're still looking at this top yellow line. This was the 61% retracement of the down move. And so this thing could come back down and retest into this area. Let's see if I can spread this out a little bit here. But I want to see the moving. We have the 5 crossing the 13. Let's move this on a little bit lower time frame. Let's go to a 15-minute. Let's go to a 5. Let's see where we're at with this. On the 5-minute chart, we're looking at all the moving averages are in the correct direction: green, yellow, blue, and so forth. Here's the first yellow line. We did get the close below. I'd be looking to see possibly of it coming down to the next target would be down here. Lots of room to the downside. It's $20 move to the downside, but it's got to get through this little zone right here. It's not quite ready to make it. It's still a little bit early for in the scheme of things for the day. There's a move down, retracement. Let me see if we can use this, take the fib off and redraw this to the, since we have our marks object. Don't want to get too many fib lines on because then everybody's going to get confused. But remember these yellow lines, the 3 yellow lines that we have, those are our target zones to the downside. This was a nice little move down, retracement, and I'll bet this is probably about 23%. So it's starting, it's trending. This is when you start seeing the trending. Comes back down, retraced, back up to the, it's a little bit shallower move, but it came right up into the 50%. You mark that. And so normally, remember, the first move we usually like to see once it breaks, like to see come back to probably the 23 or 38. 50% is okay, and that's still, oops, got the wrong tool here. Where's my, trying to get my shape here. That's what I wanted. See, it came right on up here. It came up to the 38. It stopped right in between the 38 and 50 off of this little move right in here. That's significant. Now I'm going to move this thing down till the next, it broke through. I can see it to be a little bit more in a downtrend here. I would want my stop above here, and so we're looking, but right into that zone. That's a 1-minute zone. Let's see what it looks like with a 5-minute. If it came down and closed at the 50% from this move, if we were looking at this from here, when a deep 50% is breaking down, now we'd be looking at a possible target of this down into these 50% zone down below. This would be the target area off that small little retrace. This small little retrace, it broke through the 0 line, and now it's coming back down to retest the target zone of this one right here. And you see we're almost there. So we're kind of out of the pocket on this one. Plus, it never did get all the way up to the top where this blue zone never did get up that high, which tells me, again, it's not ready to be making any major moves. It's still a little bit early in the day for it. I usually don't even look at the indexes until pushing 9 o'clock or just after 9 o'clock before the 9:30 open. But right now it's kind of looking like it's moving towards the downside, but the pre-market could be, get everybody, they'll start moving it down to the market, and then when the market opens, it comes up, and then it may pop up, retest this zone earlier in the week or today, and then they make another run down to the downside. So that's pretty much how I'd be playing that. But right now it's already at this lower target. I'd be looking maybe for another retrace back up to this zone. If it goes up to the yellow zone, can't break through, then maybe this would be the target. This would be the next target down. Once it comes back up and gets a little pullback and retrace. Right now it's just about to the target zone here.
Actually, Al, we just received a pound US alert.
Pound US. Let's see where. I'll save this S&P since we drew it out. Pound US. 15-minute. It's right into a green zone. Don't like that. Let's see where the pound, let me check my pound US. US is strong to the pound on all 4 time frames. So we could take this one short one to the US. The strength traded to the strength of the US. Let's get to draw our fib lines here, see where we're at with targets. Here's a bounce, here's the arrow. See what we're gonna go and get my template in here. See where everything is. The thing I don't like about this, it's got a lot of pretty strong move. Here's my 200 moving average. It's bouncing right off the 200 moving average. So, but here's our down move. Oof, let's see, this is Sunday's session. Here's the uptrend. Let's see what it looks like on a higher time frame and see where the fib lines may lie. Now, this, according to the 1 hour chart, it would have room to go all the way down to this point right in here. I would be looking at this move from probably from here to here, to the downside. Oops, didn't want to do that. Insert my shape. Here's the upper 25% from, this is Sunday's session right here, Sunday, Monday. That's the upper 25. Here's the lower 25. It's going sideways inside the blue zones. Whoops, way to go, draw my horizontals. I'm gonna draw my 60, 50, 38. Here's my 60. One thing about using a 1 hour chart is it gives you a little bit more room inside these zones, the 50, 60, it gives you more room. If you're on a 1 minute chart, you may only have a couple pips in between those zones. And that's just not tradable. It doesn't give you enough range. That's why I try not to draw these on too low a time frame, because you just don't get the range in between the targets, the target areas. And the price is the price. 15-minute. So we have a nice little down move coming in. So this is a strong move down. It got up into the blue zone, which is our 28% zone. So it was rejected. We have a little trend coming in here. Here's a high, here's a lower high. Here's the low. Now it's looking to try and break through this, and it's coming into this 50%. If we can get a close, then we can maybe draw a fib line to find out how far. So these are our target zones. It closes here, this is our target. It closes below here, here's our target. It closes below here, 23%, so it's kind of the target. I'm looking at maybe two shots at it. We get the first break is right here. Let's get a retrace. So I'm going to move this thing up to try and draw this from here. To here. We'll see where it's at. We did get the close below the yellow line. I'm looking for a 23 to 50%, or 23 to 38 primarily is what I like the best. So here's the 23%, here's the 38. So I'm gonna draw my blue zone. Shape, rectangle. Here's the 23. I'll take it right from here to 23 to, well, I'll just take it to the 50. This is probably not a lot of range in between here. Let's see, we have from here to here. You have 10 pips. That's a nice little range zone. If it comes back, so right now I want to see the price come up into the blue zone. We have our down arrow. So here's our arrow, but this is going to be the first target. So if the first target is down here, we need to get enough room to, I'd like to see at least 15 pips. The 15 pips is going to get me right here at the 23% line. So let me go down to the 1 minute chart, expand this out a little bit. Might actually have a little bit of a trade, but I need to get it. I'd like to see a little more of a pullback into this area. We are looking at the strength of the dollar, so that's good. The dollar was stronger. The dollar is the second currency of the pair, and that was where the strength was. So we're going to be trading to the strength of the dollar, which is to the downside. Looking for a little pullback. And see if we can get into this thing. Here was the first, see where this is the first break. Right here is where it closed. Now it's on 1 minute. I prefer to see it close on at least a 5 minute chart. And it barely, on this little candle right here, we did get a little bit of a close below with a pullback. This candle right there where the fib line is, closed below, did pulled back to the 23. Now these fib lines is whether it's on the 3 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, the fib lines are the fib lines. It's just you're looking at the price of a move. You see how this thing came back up, right up into where the 23, like I said, 23 to 50 is on these lower time frames. I like using the 2 zones because there's not much room there. There's only a few pips well within your stop tolerance, because your stop is going to be on the other side of that little blue zone, or usually on the other side of a Fibonacci. Everything's in the right direction. Right now, we're just looking for pullbacks. Now, we may not make it into this zone, but we can move this down. And we're looking for we can move this down now to the 50, I'll call it 50 to 23. If it's in a good, strong down move, it won't go much beyond the 50% retracement of this move. Usually it's between 23 and 38 is pretty typical. But right now, our target is here. So we need to make sure we have enough room to get to the target. Again, I'd like to see it pull back to the blue zone. That will give us our 15 pip target. So if it pulls back to 15, I'm going for 5 or 7 pips. We do have the strength in our favor, but we need to get a little bit of a pullback first. I do like this as a possible trade here, but it needs to give us the chance to get in. Right now, it's not giving us an opportunity to get in. Here is the first opportunity, but even with that, here's the first yellow line. It came up into the 23% zone, pull back. Here is the first close, pull back. This one gave you a head fake. But I like the fact we have a trend line from here to here. It's a little bit lower. You can see it. Well, I just need to make it a little bit stronger so you can see it right there. There's the trend. Here is the anchor. We can move it up there. Here's the anchor. Here's the hit. And now it's starting to trend on down. The dollar is getting stronger, but it's not giving us a chance to get in yet. And the closer it gets down to this level here, the more likely it is to bounce back. Right now, this is the 50% line. It could be somewhat range bound. We have this zone. This zone's going to be a problem. On the 1 minute chart. So we're just trying to get ourselves into the trade. And just a sound check, everybody can still hear me okay, Eva?
Yes, yes.
CB? Okay, good. I heard something in my headset and I was just wondering if I just lost my power here, but we're good.
Nope, you're all good.
It's trying to break through the zone. If we can get a close below this, if we can get a close below this yellow line, then we may be able to get that pullback I'm looking for. Actually, this is one here. We had a strong move down. Here's the pullback. And see this little, I like to take it from the last pullback to the strong move down, and then looking for the next pullback into that 23. So we may have actually already missed that one here. Here's a 23%. Here's a 23 to 50. You can see this is where, here's the origin, strong move down, pull back, 23 to 50. In there, that would have been the opportunity to catch it, but that didn't really have the range, I don't think. We only had from here to, so that was only 9 pips. I wanted a stronger pullback before I got into this thing. So you have to be real careful with the 1 minute charts. They will play games with you. I prefer to use the 5 minute. What are we doing on our time here? It's
30.
8:30, so half hour. Okay.
We do have a question for you, though.
Okay, go ahead.
Al, let me read it out. Don't keep covering up your screen.
Okay, all right.
That's why I'm here. Do we need to lower the lot size on this trade? On the she's talking about this one here.
You don't need to lower the lot size unless you take a bigger stop. Your stop is what we call the profit regulator. Whether you're on a 1 minute chart or a 4 hour chart, wherever you put your stop is going to be usually bigger on a higher time frame. But if you're looking at a 15 pip stop, your lot size should be based on that 15 pip stop based on your account size. And that's where that pip calculator comes in. But it doesn't really matter what time frame. You determine what time frame you want to trade on, where you need to put your stop on that time frame. And usually, if you're trading on a 1 minute time frame, you can have a tighter stop than if you're on a 4 hour time frame. If you're on a 4 hour, if you're doing swing trades, you're looking at probably anywhere from 50 to 100 pip stop. Well, your lot size has to be smaller because you're giving it that much more wiggle room. With these lower time frames, you can tighten up your stop, and you're going for less pips. But if you double your lot size, a 10 pip move on a lower time frame is the same thing as a 20 pip move on a higher time frame if you double the stop. So really, your lot size should be the same regardless of what time frame you're trading. Just make sure that you trade within your stop limits. Hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you.
And so let's see. Now here's the origin of this. This is kind of the origin of the move. Here's the strong move down, retracement, broke through the bottom. It hasn't really come back to retest this area. That's one reason I kind of want to keep this thing. Actually, in fact, I've changed my time frame here to the 5 minute. I want to see where the move from the 5 minute is. That's pretty much right here. Was the first retrace. So I'm going to take it from here to the low. Now I'm looking for that 23 to 30, or that. Here's the 23. Here's the 38. Here's the 50. So right now, if you were to be looking, since I switched time frames, these zones are now bigger. They were so that's a 4 pip zone. If I go to it's still 4 pips on this, but if I were to take it from a different reference point, my reference would be down here, and then these things would only be like maybe 2 pips. That's why I don't want to go too low of a time frame for my reference area. So here's a move down. I like this. This move here is correlates with the 5-minute chart, which is what I drew off of this. Here is still the first pullback. These are all very small little retracements, but now we're really looking at this. Now we have a green candle coming back up, and we'll see if it'll come up and retest this yellow line. If it retests the yellow line without breaking through it, that's a 61% retracement off of this move. We're still using the same yellow line reference which we had from the bigger picture Fibonacci. And that's what we're using for our reference. I still like it's coming into the 23 to 38. We'll see how deep this thing will go. If this yellow line can hold, then I might be apt to take this thing short as this thing comes on up. Now, watching this green, yellow, the green and yellow moving averages, if I go to a 1-minute chart, you'll see right now my green has crossed the yellow. So now this thing, we don't know how far up this thing's going. This is maybe a nice little retracement. I want to see it come up and have this thing hook back around the other direction inside this blue area, and then we can maybe use this for the target. This is still our target zone. It hasn't crossed over that. Right now we're in between these 2 yellow lines. I want to see it come back up, pull off. You're giving me enough room to the yellow line, which is right from here to here. I'd like to see 15 pips from my target with an opportunity to get into the target. And we'll see. Now I'm on a 1-minute chart. The fib zones are still the same. I'm still using the same reference. But if you can see right now with between these yellow lines, my range between the yellow lines are 17 pips. That's enough for me to grab my 7 pips. If it breaks to the downside, I've got room to get my 7 pips or 5 pips on this next down move. This is still the British US, okay. And so we wait and see what this thing gives us. Let me look and see and make sure the US is still strong compared to the British pound. It may actually be stronger, or if it changes position on it. US is still strong on the 15 and the 30, and the British pound is still weak. We still have the spread. The spread is still okay to go short with this. We are getting a little bit of retracement to the upside. Now this thing comes up to the yellow line and can break and close above it. I'll be looking to try and get into this thing short. Right now it's bouncing right off the 61% of this down move, but it's still respecting this yellow line. And this is our main one that we're looking at. We're just looking to see how far this thing's going to pull back. Now, if we get into this trade, then our stop can be up here around the 70. If we get into this trade, it can break through the 61 and it can close down back below this area right in here. And our stop can be right here, and then our targets can be way down below. That gives us a nice little ratio for the risk-reward ratio. And the dollar is still strong to the British pound. Coming up into the red zone. And on this chart, let's see what we have here. We're on the 1 minute. Let's go to a 5 minute. Let's see how many zones we have. Here's a red zone. Here's our red zone. Here's our area that came up and tested it. Our moving averages are still good for the most part. This is our nice little pullback right in here. It's coming into the, now if it gets up into the 76, and we may say all bets are off because this thing may be making a little bit higher. But you can see where here's a high, here's a low, here's a lower high, here's a lower low, nice big move down. Now it's coming up to retest this little range right in here. But if it doesn't give you an opportunity to get into the trade, you just don't take the trade. This is a pretty deep retracement. Now we'll see what it does with the 61% of this down move. Can it close above the 61? If it can't, then I'm going to move this thing up to this area. I'm going to bring this thing up to the 50. Here's our 61. Here's our other move that we use from the other Fibonacci move. This is so our main focus that we're looking at the yellow line. And it could not close above the 61%, which makes me think this is a nice pullback with a little bit more of a down move. And again, our target is going to be down here. The green line hasn't crossed the yellow, came up to 61%, couldn't close above, at least not yet. Now, if we get another close below this yellow line, then we can take a sell stop right around in here, and then use this for the target. And that'd be 14 pips. I would go for 7. Do the 1 minute chart and see where this thing goes. If we do get into this thing short and you have your stop up here, your risk reward is really pretty good. You only have, and you could probably use a 10. I'd probably still use the 15 pip stop. But if you get in here, you'd have looking at possibly an 8 pip risk for a possible 22 pip target. I would prefer to see the screen cross back over, or at least start hooking back down. Right now, that screen one is still pointing up. That's a 5-period moving average. That's still pointing up. I like to see that at least be hooking back down again. Here's a nice little pivot. Here's our 200 moving average. Came right up to the 200, tagged it, couldn't break through it. This would be a little fractal right here. We have two lower highs on either side of this pivot, on both sides of it. And if you want to put fractals up here, you can go to your, let's see, I think it's insert indicator, Bill Williams fractals. And I usually I've got mine, I'll make it yellow here so you can see it a little bit better. And you'll see there's a little fractal right there when I turn this thing on. Boom, right there, that's a fractal. It still has some power to the upside, so we're not taking it short. Right now, we're looking at a possibility to do a sell stop down as it pulls back and drops down through. It still has not closed. This 1 minute candle has not, here's a 60% line. This candle has not closed above yet. If it closes, I prefer to see the strength being closed on the 5 minute chart, and hasn't done that yet either. If it closed on the 5, it'll be closed on the 1, and then it may be closed on the 15. But right now, this is still the pullback zone. You can maybe use a sell stop right on a close below the yellow line. That way you have an idea where the pullback was, and then your target could be down below. This is still the target. It hasn't crossed below yet. But right now we have to be very careful that isn't giving enough room to the upside to retest our upper higher time frame 23% zone. Questions? What else we, okay. This is a good exercise on this one. There's really not a whole lot of alerts that I'm seeing. Let's see. Euro, British US, see where the other. There's a German 30 on the M5. Let's take a peek at that while we're waiting here. The European markets are still open, so that how's our French speakers doing here?
We haven't had a question from after I got our translators on board. I've not had a question from them.
Do our translators have any questions or comments? Turn your mic on and speak to us if you have the urge. Here's a German 30. This is nice. There's a drop, base drop, coming back to retest. Right here we have some room. There's a $30 move to the upside of 30 euros. I'm not sure what the denomination is on this. Bounce, arrow, go. This could have a nice little possibility here. How's our euro doing? Let's see what the euro's doing here. The euro is relatively weak, which means their market would be stronger. It's weak on the lower time frame, stronger on the higher, but that's okay. I think this could be a trade right in here. Bounce, arrow, 5 minute. Let's see what it looks like on the 101. Let's see our moving average. Check our moving averages out here. I don't mind trading the German 30 this time of day. Moving averages are, let's see on the 1 minute, see what they're doing on the 1 minute. A little bit of a pullback here. Strong move up, pullback, target. Here's the pullback. That would be okay doing a, here's the arrow. Here's a pullback off the arrow. That would be okay doing a buy stop right around this 11.8 mark. 15,395. Let's pull this back a little bit. Don't need that big of a position on it. 0.3, I think is what I usually use on this one. Trade. I stop right there. Pull this back down.
Al, did you look at the 5 minute for the German 30?
I did not.
That was a valid bag entry.
Yeah, I saw it as being, it looked like it was a bag at valid. Actually, I think that's why I drew it off of the bag. I do like the target on this. I like to see a pullback. I'd like to see it, I'm not sure how far it's going to pull back. I do like the moving averages in the right place, and it does look like a nice target up here. So I'm going to have a buy stop that once the pullback comes up and see if it can get me into the trade on after the pullback for the next leg up. That's what I'm looking at for this one. What do you think there, CB?
Yep. I like the plan.
So I'm trying to get my target right in this area right in here. So now it's pulling back. Here's my move up. Here's pullback. It's pulled back to the 38%. So it's right now it's in that 23 to 38 that we talked about. Insert my shape. Here's my entry zone right in here. Possible entry zone. I don't know how deep it's going to go back, so I'm going to use a buy stop. Came into 38. And I'm going to see if I can't maybe move this down just a little bit more here. Try to get a little bit better entry. And then once I'm in, then I will put my stop and my target in.
The only thing that worries me is there's a lot of resistance in the way on the 1 minute. It's got to break through a whole bunch.
Yeah, this zone could, if I can get a decent entry, I could maybe still get a few pips before it comes up. And if we have two zones, this is a level on a level. Oftentimes the first one will get broken, the second one's going to hold. My target would probably be, I'll probably have my target up here right around the 15,408 area. So I can probably put that in here right now for the modify. And let's see if I can do that. It's trying to slow up here a little bit for me. Take profit.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing, you can't, this is a counter trend on the 1 minute, but the 5 and 15 are both upward trends. So it looks like a nice entry on the 5 minute. I just am worried about the resistance that it's meeting up with right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I think it's worth a shot. If it gets us in, I think it's worth a shot. We can get a few pips out of it. And right now my target would be right up here. It pulled back to the 38. My target is right up here, right around the, just a little bit before the 38. So we'll keep an eye on it and see what happens. Let's see, we were looking at the British US too. We were looking at, I think my computer's starting to slow up here. It's not getting happy. We were looking at the strength to the dollar, which strength to the downside, looking at a possible pullback. We could probably do a sell stop on this one. There's a 5 minute. Let's go to the 1 minute, see where our moving averages are on the, if the moving averages are not good on the 1 minute, they're not going to be good on any of the others.
Okay, which leads to a question. Can you guys explain, because different time frames are going to show different trends. On a 1 minute, you can have a sell trend, like a downtrend. On the 5 minute for the same pair, you're going to have an uptrend. And I've actually got a question in the Q&A. Can you please explain why that is? Because I know the way I trade, I always trade whatever the trend on the chart I'm trading is, regardless of what everything else is doing.
Well, I'm looking at a time frame. I like taking my trades on the 5 and the 15 minute. I'm using the 5 and 15 minute time frames as my reference time frames. I do know that if the 1 minute is moving up and my trend is looking down, I want the 1 minute to be at least in the right direction of the trend that I'm trading on. Because if it's not, if the 1 minute is going up and I want to be going short, it's not going to go short until that 1 minute decides to go short, because that's going to be your fastest time frame. So what I'm looking to go short, but I'm not going to go short until my 1 minute helps to confirm that.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Well, she actually is asking, why are they different?
Because they're different, because the different time frames are going to show different speeds of retracement, or different. The price is going to be the price. But the way the moving averages are reacting to it are going to be, it's going to react a lot faster on a 1 minute chart than it will be on a 15 minute chart.
Right. I mean, you could also, so when you're looking at a 1 minute chart, five 1 minute candles equal 1 5 minute candle, and you could potentially have one trend for those 5 minutes, but five 5 minute candles might be going in the opposite direction pretty easily. So you could theoretically have different trends for the 1 minute, 5 minute, and then back to the 15 minute and back to the 30 minute. I mean, it can change all the time depending on the time frame you're looking at.
That makes sense, Daniela.
What I like is that the higher the time frame, the more room you're going to have between the moves of the candles. And so, like CB said, is that one 5 minute candle is going to equal 5 1 minute candles. So in order to get the price action on a 5 minute candle, you're looking at really what the price action is on 5 1 minute candles. And so if the 1 minute is going up and you want to be taking it short, there's no point in trying to take it short while the 1 minute is going against you. You wait until at least the 1 minute turns around to go in your favor. And then you can, now you've got all the wind is to your back rather than having a little bit of a headwind.
Right. Yeah. If you have, especially like the 5, 15, 30 in 1 hour, if they're all going in the same direction, same trend, that's just a stronger indication that you're getting into a trade, like you said, Al, with all the wind behind you.
Yeah. If you're looking at this being a target, let's say you're looking at your 15-minute, let's say you're looking at a 15-minute chart, and you're saying, okay, I want my target to be down here. And you look at a 1-minute chart and you see that the price is still going against you. Well, there's no point in taking it short now while still going against you. You want to wait till at least it turns around to go into your direction. Find out where that last high may be. And now you have a little bit better entry, or now you've got the wind to your back if you do like a sell stop here. So you say, I want to get in here to go short. Well, because you want to make sure that this move is done going up against you before you get in. So now if you get filled here, you can use this as your stop. You can use a little bit higher, a little higher than that, because if you're correct in your assessment, it's going to go and keep on going down, and the high is already made. This little area right in here would be your stop zone. You'd want to have your stop above that, knowing that that's the last high it made as it got you into your trade. But if you want to be going short and this thing's going up, you don't want to be taking a short here, knowing that this thing's still going up away from you, because now you're getting into your drawdown. You want to wait till the drawdown is away from your target. This would be your drawdown zone. You get entered here. You give this little bit of a move up. But right now, as you see, here's a little fractal. You see it's starting to turn around. Well, I'd much rather get in up here than way down here as it's moving up. I'd rather get in up here as it's starting to show some weakness. Here's a fractal high. Here's a fractal high. Here's a trend. Here's a little trend line. Here's your upper pivot. Here's your anchor. Here's your hit. But now we don't know, is this these two little fractals, are they going to hold? Is this trend line going to hold? If it does, then that means that this thing's lost its upward strength. You're going to try and get in maybe down here, or maybe somewhere inside here. But that way, you want the moving averages. I like to see the green cross the yellow. That tells me that this upward move is near its end. It may give you a little push up, but it keeps your risk reward is from here to here is your risk. Let me see if I can draw this here. So that you get in here, your risk is maybe 7 pips to the upside, or there's 7 pips to the upside, but now your target is down here. You've got your 15 pips to the downside, 17 pips to the downside. Buy stop. Let's see if we may take this one here. Nice move down. We were looking at the dollar being stronger. I'm going to double check it before I enter the trade. Let me see here where the dollar is to the British pound. British pound had the pullback. It's starting to switch. I'd like to see this switch over. Well, you're going to see it anyway, but right now I'd like to see the dollar is still strong to the British pound. I'm not as happy with it as it was with that pullback. But if I were to, I could justify having a sell stop off of this pullback. It's into my blue zone. Here's my target. Once I get it close below this yellow, I'll try and take this trade, and I'll use this for my stop up here. I got this trend line in my way. I've got this zone in my way. My stop will be up here at the top, and I see where the moving averages are starting to trade. Now it's starting to make a high, a lower high. Once it breaks through the bottom of this little zone right here, we could be in our trade. And then you have your target down here to the next zone. And there's enough room there to get your 5 pips out of it. I can see I'm in my German 30. We better check that to make sure that's our buy stop. Okay, right now we're in the trade. Still looking for the target up here. We still have all the moving averages are in the right direction. Go to a 1-minute chart and see how it looks on the 1 minute. We're going long on this one. We'll see what happens. I'll keep my stop down here somewhere around the below this 200 moving average. So I'll probably have my stop right here about 15. I'm going to keep it out of harm's way. I'm going to keep it right here about 15,374. Modify that. 15.3. Maybe a little bit more room here because I'll be watching it. 74. Modify it. If it starts getting down into this 56 area, I'll be looking at maybe bailing earlier. I don't want to see it break through that six. I don't want to see it break through the 61% retracement on this.
Hey guys, I gotta get going here.
Okay, CB, thanks for your help.
Yeah, thanks for bringing me in for a little bit. Obviously, Mondays are never the most exciting day, but
No, they never are.
yep. Good luck with the rest of the morning. I'll be on tomorrow.
All right, thanks, CB. We'll see you then.
Okay, thanks, guys.
And you can see we had a little bit of a pullback. We got into the trade, a little bit of pullback. We do have this little red zone up here, which is going to be somewhat could be problematic. Right now, we're back to break even, a little bit of profitability here. I'm going to keep my stop outside of this blue. This is my stop zone right here. I got my stop below as I'm watching this thing. And I'd like to see it get a close above these candles. I'd like to see it close, but if it can't close above that, I may pull this trade a little bit earlier. If it pulls up, and right now we have a little bit of a trend line, but I'm still looking at, here's a high, here's a lower high, here's the trend. And now it's trying to break out of this. If we can get a close above this, come up, retest, possibly retest the trend line, and come on up to retest to get my target.
We've got 1 minute left, Al.
Okay, we'll see if we can finish this trade out here before we go. See if we can get this coming up at 9 o'clock. We're looking at a 1 hour candle to close here in another 1 minute. So I look at my 1 hour chart, see what kind of candle I have on my 1 hour chart. Right now it's a green bullish candle. And it could be coming up, and we have here's a nice little pivot. Here's a high, here's a pullback. Now it bounced off of this zone right here. Look at 30-minute. Be nice to see if we can get some green candles. That means it's crossing over the arrow moving average. I can't really see anything with this on this chart right now. Let's go to a 15-minute. We are getting some green candles. It's crossing over the arrow moving average. Again, here's my target. The red line is my target right now. It's starting to break through here. Go back to my 5-minute chart and see what it's doing on that. You see on the 5-minute chart, it has no zones until it gets way up here, and my target is way down. This thing could actually go a lot higher. All of our moving averages are starting to turn over, cross over. We do have a close above the 200. We're getting the 13 crossing the 200. 13 crossed the arrow. And right now, green, yellow, and aqua. So they're all in the right direction. I'm so optimistic that's going to hit my target. The euro is relatively weak. So when the euro, just like with the US dollar, when the dollar is weak against our stock market, usually tends to go up. When the dollar is strong, the stock market tends to retrace and go down. And I'm looking at the euro with the German 30 being working the same way. just got a 1 minute alert on the British US to go short, which is what we were looking at doing. Let's see how that's doing here. My screen's starting to lock up a little bit here. We have the down, here's the arrow. We could probably take this thing short. I'll try to take a stab at this. Let's go for 7 pips. We already worked out the plan on it. Modify. And 15 pip stop, 7 pip target. Enter. Here's my target. Got the down arrow. Here's a bounce. A little, basically, it was a bounce, arrow, go. Looking to the short side. Check my German 30. And that's working out nicely so far. Still heading in the right direction. And I say, if you're in these trades, keep an eye on them, but this is where my target is up here. You said it could very well go all the way up to the red zone. I don't usually give it that much room. I like to get in, I like to get out, and take higher lot sizes and lock in my profits. If I can't get a close, I like to see a close. And actually did, looks like here's the highest close right here. And it did close a little bit higher right off this candle. So it does have a nice little wick down. And right now my green is leading my yellow. Yellow is leading the arrow moving average, which is leading the 62. And all my 200 moving averages are, everything's above the 200 moving average. So it's moving in the right direction, just waiting out for it to break through this zone as the markets consolidate and open up. Pretty much waiting out for the US market to open. See a little bit of a drawdown here, but I'm still not looking pip-wise, it's still not. Let's see, profit versus as points. Right now on the British US, I'm only down 5 pips, which is nothing to worry about. 6 pips now. If you look at your profits in terms of pips as opposed to dollars, so that way everything stays the same, reference to your mind and thinking process when using larger dollar amounts. You're just looking at pip moves as opposed to dollar moves or euro moves if you're from Europe. Still having to fight through this a little bit. Right now it's up $4 or €4, depending what the denomination is with the German 30. As I've got my stop up, my target up here just below this red line, assuming that I'm looking to see this little red zone get taken out and this one holding. Once it takes out, if it can get a nice little push up, if it doesn't get me out, I'll just close this thing out with the profit, whatever profit I get with it. This is my stop zone. And if I get stopped out on my British US, which looks like it's not going in my favor right now. This thing's taking the same course that the Euro, the British, or the German 30 is doing. And can everybody still hear me?
Yeah.
Seems kind of quiet.
No,
Eva?
it looks like it took you out.
I lost everybody.
No, we're here. Paul, can you not hear me? Okay, I think his earbuds have gone again.
Test, test. Can anybody hear me?
We can hear you, Al.
Did I lose you before?
Yes. Well, no,
Oh.
we could hear you. You couldn't hear me talking to you.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, it looks like we got stopped. We got stopped out of our U.S., but now we are making our headway on our German 30. So
now you've been stopped out on the
looks
pound.
like it looks like I got stopped out on the pound U.S. But hitting my target on the U.S., the German 30. 16, let's see what we got here.
Okay, there you go.
Done yesterday, got stopped out on that one, but I'm still profitable on the German 30.
So that'll mitigate it.
Yeah, it'll.
It says that German 30 trade is going crazy.
There, let's see, where are we at here? German 30. It's coming right up to that target, and boom, boom, there's the target. Okay, so we had one win, one loss. The British US, it kind of came back down. It looks like we got it. I took the trade short when it came down, looking at to retest, but all it did was just break off to the upside. So the dollar got strong all of a sudden. And that's pretty much it for the day. Any last minute questions or comments before we go?
I don't see it.
Going once, going twice. Okay, well, this is the end of the session today. Thanks for coming in. Our French speakers, I appreciate your help, even though we didn't get to use you as much as we thought we would, but we're happy to have you. Thanks for your offer to give us a hand.
Thank you so much.
And we will see everybody tomorrow, same time, 7:30 to 9. Stay safe, stay green. See you then.
All right, everybody, have a great day. See you tomorrow.